Do you ever have one of those days where nothing like seriously bad happens, but it feels like every minor inconvenience that can happen does happen? That's the kind of day I'm having. And that has nothing to do with anything we're going to be doing today. I just wanted to complain about it. The lovely people over at Arrtx sent me another set of their alcohol markers. They said, do you want to try these? And I said, put them here. Over here, right here. So thank you so much to Arrtx for sending that to me, and we are going to be drawing with them today, if that is okay with you guys. Since you clicked on the video, I'm assuming it's okay with you. To be honest with the internet, you never know. Can I open my sketchbook? Is that okay? Okay, cool. I am capable of opening my sketchbook. That's excellent news. I did draw this little sketch that I would like to turn into a finished illustration. I took a picture of this, brought it over to my tablet here. I was going to plan out the colors on my tablet while looking at my swatch sheet, so then that way I have a little bit more freedom. And then after that, I will I'll drop the set of markers. But after that, I will look at my swatch sheet, pick out the colors, and you'll notice I am missing one. When I actually was swatching this set of markers, I came to find out that I had a duplicate of one marker. I think it was number 5. So I actually reached out to Arrtx about that, saying like, I know you don't sell individual alcohol markers on your website, but is there any way that I could get that one marker? And they're like, no, we checked our warehouse and we don't see the extra marker, but we can send you a brand new set. I was like, no, that's okay. It feels like a waste to just send me an entire new set just for one singular marker, but I appreciate the thought. And they said, oh, well, funny thing about that, because of time zone differences, there is a delay in getting your response, and so we already sent over another set. So I have a whole other set, but I don't need 2 sets, and so I'm going to be giving it away to you guys. So stay tuned until later on in the video for some details about that. And let's see, the character I am drawing is my character Nicolette, just because I've been thinking about her a lot lately. There she is. So I'll just start with this and then actually figure out which marker will work for her skin tone later. Start by swatching and start by not switching out of the eyedropper tool. Start with the easy stuff. It seems I've made a mistake. Will I ever learn? How many times we gotta teach you this lesson, old man? I did forget to draw the rest of her hair, so whoops. I kind of pictured it being like draped down like that and then like over her back. She usually wears a lot of greens, but I'm kind of leaning towards more browns. So maybe I can use that as like a base for most of the outfit. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer, that's why. That makes a lot of sense. So here's one option. Oh, I can see where I colored on the wrong layer. And then another one, I can try leaning into greens like she typically wears. The problem with that is that there's a lot of like super light greens and then really dark greens. There really aren't any mid-tone greens in this set. Oh. Hi. So I might lean away from greens just because of that, which is funny because I don't normally use a lot of greens in my art anyway, and so it's usually not that big of a deal if there's not that much green. But now I'm like, hey, what if I used green though? I'm fine with this top being green, but I don't know what to do with this part. I mean, black's probably the safest bet. And then we can do this part of the skirt black, and then I can use a darker green for these bows maybe. And what if instead of black I made these like tights material so that it'd be like, maybe not this brown, but a little bit more brownish. She normally has these like pinstripe tights that she'll wear. I think if I do this I might have to make the blacks a little darker, but I am enjoying this one. Now that I've played with this a bit more, I do think I like it more than the brown. Time to translate this into the markers. Okay, so for skin tone, maybe I should hide. This is, oh. Well, it's fine. She's just gonna have to look a little not right for a minute. By the way, these markers, something I think is really neat about them, one side is a bullet nib and then one side is brush nib. Usually it's like there's a chisel nib and then it's either brush nib or bullet nib. So I really like that this one doesn't have a chisel nib. On this paper it seems a little bit lighter, so I could use this as like a highlight color. I think I was looking at when I colored over it twice versus when I colored over it once. Should pick out a blush color and then a shade color. I don't know if I'll have any one color that's good. I can try layering this and then maybe mixing in a purple. Maybe put the purple down and then go on top with the skin tone. I think that's working out. I think I want to have one more dark shade color. What's it like if I layer this purple on top of that? Not much happens, and I'm assuming the brown just overpowers this purple if I do it the other way. Yeah, for sure. What if I tried still using this one, but then putting like a darker purple under it? I think this could work. And for the outfit, yeah, that works. Oh, they do look pretty similar. But I guess if it gets too similar, I can use a white colored pencil to try and fix it. I don't want to use warm grays or cool grays. If I wanted to lean more dark, I should probably go with the warm grays. I do think for the white bits, though, I should use the cool grays. I think that'll make them stand out a bit more. I just realized I completely skipped over a shading color for the green, so honestly I think this might be our only real option, considering how little greens there are in this set. Do you think I could use the warm gray number 5 though for some of this? For blending, I'll jump back and forth between the other grays and this like raw umber color maybe? I think that'll work. I completely colored over where that is, but that's fine. Lastly, her hair, which I don't think should be too hard. Honestly, 83 looks basically exactly like her color. For her hair highlights, do I want to go more purple or more pink? I think I might lean more pinkish because I think that'll tie in with the shading color in her skin more, since it is the same markers. And then I do need to pick out a shading color. I think this one might be too... It could work. I could also try putting a brown down and then... Yeah, honestly I'll probably bounce back and forth between these. Initial bleed through test. Okay. Honestly, what I expected for alcohol markers. Now that all the boring stuff is out of the way. Actually, begin. This is also this is definitely not showing up on camera. This is actually the halfway point of my sketchbook, so woohoo, yippee, and all that. Beautiful little pink friend to help keep our sketchbook open. Thank you, Kirby. So this can sit here, and then I can move it if I need to. I feel like most of her is going to be here, and then probably what little you can see of her lower body will be on this, and then her hair will probably be flowing over there too. But my favorite part about doing rough sketches traditionally, whenever I do them in pencil, is that you can't really see them on camera, so that's cool. We love to see that. Oh, but I'm looking at my viewfinder. You can see a little bit. You can see some lines. I make her head bigger. I think I want her to be a little bit bigger on the page. Ah, my phone! I wonder how many drawings of people doing peace signs that I've drawn in my life. Arguably way too many, especially in my old art. My goodness. So we had this pigtail like coming down, being draped on around this arm. This one can probably just like, it's a little too straight. During Pride Month? No thank you. Wonder if anyone's gonna watch this channel for the first time, hear that, and then say I'm too woke. But you're allowed to be woke during Pride Month. Put some strands, because I have this hair going down being like draped over here, and then I have this hair flowing, and it doesn't exactly match, but I like both of them, so I'm not going to change either of them. I'm stubborn, baby! Here, I'm done with this pencil, but we can keep it there for emotional support. And just funny, as of filming this, I am currently working on a quick sketch to say thank you for 2,000 followers on Bluesky. Follow me on Bluesky, by the way, and in that drawing there is also Nicolette. I just think she's neat. Unnecessary blush, because everybody in my drawing is blushing for literally no reason. It's just that I've been doing that for so long. Now whenever I don't draw my characters blushing, it feels like something's missing and they look dead, you know? I feel like if you're someone who typically only really draws bust shots, adding earrings is a quick and easy way to make your drawing feel like it's a little bit more detailed than it actually is. Especially when you have like movement here. So then you can also make the earring move. Unless it's not a dangly earring, that might be a little bit difficult. If the earring is blowing in the wind but it's not a dangly earring, maybe we should get that checked out. I do think I also made her bangs a little long, but I like it, so I'm not gonna change it. Cause I'm stubborn. Oh, that finger's tanging with her ear really bad. She had a bit of that flower. No, lace heart. Where did I get flower from? It's good enough. It's about as much as I'm willing to fight on it, honestly. Also just realized that my phone has been slowly pushing my sketchbook down. That's cool. I think you would see your collarbones a little bit, right? I drew them. So now you see them, whether you're supposed to or not. These went down a little bit further. Heart. Not flowers, as we've all learned. These are hearts. I've been trying to keep my sketches more loose, because I feel like I clean up my sketches way more than I should. In the entire history of my channel, I don't know how many times I've made a video, or like on a stream or something, where I'm like, alright, finished with a sketch. time to move on to line art, and then people are like, I thought that was the line art. Because really with a sketch, you should only go as far. If you're planning on making it into like a finished illustration with line art, then you should only really clean it up as much as you need to save time. And I feel like I can read my sketches pretty good even when they're messy. So for time, I really should be leaving them looser, but I really love sketching. So it's always my, like even this, I want to clean this up a lot more, even though I know I don't need to. There's that slit in her skirt. Bows there. Which I'm realizing I forgot to color in my thumbnail, so I'm gonna have to go look at my... Oh. I might have deleted it. It's fine, we'll figure it out later. I like how I actively chose to make this drawing on this page, and now I'm just like, the seam in this page is getting in the way. How could this have happened? Who could have done this? Can't believe you guys would make me draw here. Why would you do that? Hair has always been one of those things where I love drawing it, and I feel like it's something that people consistently enjoy about my art. I feel like every time people talk about things that they dislike in art, it's hair. And I'm like, no, I love it. It's so fun. Yeah, I think that's the sketch. Alright, so what are we feeling for line art? Honestly, yeah, I'll probably just use this micron. Oh, that's... Oh, wait a minute. I don't think that's right. Does that look right to you? Well, these two are the ones I was going to use anyway, so that's fine. I'm gonna be honest, the sketchbook lays pretty flat, so I really don't need clips to keep it shut, but I just like looking at them. He's just a little guy. I feel like every single time I do line art in a traditional art vlog draw with me thing, I feel like I end up cutting out a lot of the line art because I just like go silent and just do it. But also I know line art is another thing that people associate with me heavily, so I feel bad. Color this in with the brown for now, and then I could go over with the black later if I really care about it. When you guys add blush to your characters, do you also... I call Kirby, I gotta move you, I'm sorry. Do you also make it a point to make sure there's the same amount of blush lines on either side of their face? You know, it's like one of those oddly specific things about my art, but if you look at every drawing with blush, which is all of them, there is a 99% chance both sides of the face have the same amount of blush lines. Fudged that line a little bit. Forgot to add her lips. To be fair, I feel like that could mostly be done in the coloring stage. But still, how is she gonna give those sweet kisses during Pride Month? When you're drawing, do you ever just get to a point in your drawing where you just look at it and you stare in silence? You're like, what do I do now? Like, there's a lot to do, but like, what do I do now? You know? I accidentally made this line too thick. Now I gotta go and fix it. I'm making it worse. It's fine. You can barely tell which line I made too thick. It's fine. It's fine. Remember when I said I can read my sketch pretty good, so I don't need to clean it up anymore, and it's probably for the best to save time? I wish I cleaned this part up a little bit. I'll just skip over here. That'll be a later me problem. Now that there's line art on this hand, I'm realizing that this area right here looks a little off, but you know what? It's a bit late to fix that now, isn't it? Every time I go to draw this kind of like scrunchy hair tie type thing, makes me realize I've never actually thought about how to draw one. I just draw a bunch of scrunched up lines, and I'm like, well, it's probably good enough, right? Scrunched up lines equal scrunchy. That's how that works. Once again, regretting drawing this on a 2-page spread where there's a large seam in the middle, but you know what? Ain't that just life? Long stream of constant regrets. Okay, now that I say that out loud, maybe that's not how life should be, but you know what? Sometimes it is anyways, and you gotta deal with it. That embarrassing thing you said in front of your middle school class that one time, when you were approximately 7 years old and lied to be cool in front of people, then they immediately called you out on it and you felt really embarrassed. Just some of many a life's constant regrets. Man, I'm so glad that these things right here aren't called flowers. I would have been so confused this entire drawing. And that's why you should like and subscribe, because we're an educational channel over here. We know what things are and are not. These things, totally not flowers. This liner, totally the wrong one. So full of educational moments here. Now that I'm lining this more, I don't think I want to add any black liner. When I'm done, I may or may not go in with a thicker one just to add some depth here and there, but as you may or may not be able to tell, I have a habit of doing that with a thinner liner anyway, which probably isn't good because I feel like it wastes a lot of ink. But you know, I am known for being a super smart man who makes super smart choices in his art and never makes anything difficult for myself. I've never done that before. I messed up. It wasn't a mistake. It was an intentional artistic choice. That's what you're not understanding. Being hit with a sudden realization that this part doesn't make a whole lot of logical sense. Her shirt is on top of her hair. Not quite how that works. But once again, it's a little too late to fix that now, isn't it? It's fine, it's just another creative liberty artistic choice. Because I'm an art genius, that's what you're not getting. Yeah, I think that's about it. I do always start with the skin whenever I do traditional work. Don't know why. I kind of planned a light source, but not like super strongly, so you know, we're just gonna wing it today. Something I did not test is if the caps go on the back of the marker. It's not super important to me, but I know it's important to a lot of people out there. They do not. Oh, immediately, I do love it though. I did really like the ink in the... I'm assuming it's the same type of ink in the alcohol markers I've used before from Arrtx. These brush nibs are very nice. I'll keep that handy, but I think I'm generally done with that. And look, I forgot to color her ear. That's awesome. I'll finish adding the base tone and the highlights before we start adding any shading. Now I'm not switching between so many markers, because we all know how that goes. And if you don't, I'm sure you can imagine. I forgot to add some line art here. Whoops. Everything's fine. Ignore that. I'm gonna be closer to the light source. I don't know where my light source is. I was about to be like, I think I'm done with her skin tone. I think I'm missing a spot. Very vital spot, one would argue. For the shading colors, I didn't have one marker, but I would layer markers on top of each other. I don't typically do this for shading. I'll usually have like one marker to make a shading color. I won't normally layer two markers to get a shade tone, but these markers layer and blend really well, so it's working out. And it'll also give me a good opportunity to test how many layers you can put before it wrecks a page. Oh no, my cap! Is that why all the kids these days are saying no cap? Are they all just artists whose caps keep falling off their desk? Let's see if I can layer this one more time, but I think that's about as dark as it'll go. And then time to go in with the darkest skin shade, where we are once again layering many markers. And by many, I mean two. But I guess when you normally only use one marker for a shading tone, any more than that is many. Made a little too dark around her eye, but you know what? What's our catchphrase for this video? Too late to do anything about it now. Typically when I do alcohol marker illustrations, once I'm finished, I'll usually go in after to touch up some spots with colored pencils. I decided if I want to do that. Guess it'll depend on how lazy I feel when we get there. Whenever I do hair, I usually have one highlight color, but this time I have two. Curious to see how this will go. To all the marker artists out there, whenever you use multiple markers, what's your go-to to hold them? Do you leave them on your desk? Do you do the Wolverine claw? You put them in your mouth? I'm definitely a combination of Wolverine claw and consuming the marker. Wrong marker. I'm also the type of marker user who uses the wrong marker constantly. If you're also that type of artist, representation matters, and I am here, and I am visible during Pride Month. Keep using the wrong marker. I'll never learn. I'll never improve as a person. So I'm gonna stand here with a spray bottle, spray me every time I use the wrong marker. Maybe then I'll finally get it right. I hear some raindrops. Please don't start pouring. You've done that to me before, Florida weather, and I don't like it. Oh boy. Well, I'll finish this section, and I fear I'm gonna have to come back to this. Yikes. Alright, we are back on a much less rainy day. For now. Since this one's gonna be pretty highlighted in the highlights, I'm just gonna focus on these two, and then I'll add in a darker purple once all these parts are in. I'm also gonna get marker on my finger, just in case you guys are curious about that. I don't think there'd be too much of this. This purple would really just be the darkest shade on this pigtail. Back to using all three so I can use the wrong markers. I almost just did it. I almost did it. Still haven't gotten. I'm gonna stand there with a spray bottle. Should get on that. And over here there probably wouldn't be much of this lightest highlight. Definitely makes my life easier. Lowers the odds of me using the wrong marker. Doesn't make this odds 0. They are lower. I'm gonna keep looking at this part. I think it's a bit light. I am being very messy with these markers today. It's not a good sign. I was gonna say I should add. We can fix that. Definitely can. It's so fixable. It's so fixable. Watch how fixable this is. It's like the most fixable thing you've ever seen is what you gotta know about this. Anyways, what I was going to say Actually, what was I going to say? Man. I also realized I didn't put Kirby back. My emotional support Kirby's. I think something that I always struggle with in my marker illustrations, aside from staying inside the fudging lines I save. No one will ever know I was going to say a swear. I would never say a bad word in my videos. Don't look at my videos or my streams. Or just take my word for it. But I always struggle with like these casted sort of shadows like around here, because when I do it on digital art, I'll have one layer for like the general shadows that are casted by the light source, and then I'll have a second layer that is rendering things, and then I'll have a third layer that's like casted shadows, like how this piece of hair is like going over the face, or how this face is like projecting a shadow onto the hair. And I feel like whenever I do traditional art, I always have a hard time making those shadows stand out. And there aren't too many places where I want to add this, but there are a few, just for a little added depth. Now that I'm using a color that isn't purple, there's this added pressure to not go outside the lines, because then it'll be super obvious. So, this casted shadow looks a little nicer. Turns out nothing's impossible if you put your mind to it. Before I go in and shade the white bits, I do kind of want to use this colorless blender to touch up some parts where I totally didn't go out the lines. I did make a YouTube short talking about the proper way to use colorless blenders, but this is another way you can use them to sort of touch up mistakes. If it's a super dark color, it usually doesn't work, but I will say I'm very impressed with how this one lifted up. So dare I say this might be the best colorless blender I've used out of all the marker brands I've had. Coming to the realization I totally didn't pick out any colors for her mouth, so we're gonna have to do that. I guess we can do that real quick just so we can be super sure that the colorless blender dried. Probably going to have to mix a brown and a red because there's not a lot of super... I usually use like a darker desaturated red for the like inside of the mouth, and then like a lighter pink for the tongue. For the tongue, this one might actually be fine. For shading, I can use this brown and then lay that pink right on top. All of these reds are pretty dark, so I don't know how well I can do my layering trick I've been using. So I'll put 2 down. And then I can also try putting these down first and then the brown on top. But I am afraid the brown will just kind of overpower them both. I think that'll work. I have to do it quick so then that way the ink has more time to mix in. And I also have to be really heavy-handed with this, which is funny because on camera they all look exactly the same. Yeah, I need the... I'm just gonna pull up my digital art color test thingy, which I have good news, I did not delete it. I didn't delete it, everybody. I saved it. And it is called the very creative file name of Illustration 2. I am also very impressed, again, with how light a lot of the lighter tones are, because a big struggle that a lot of the more affordable brands of markers tend to have is getting those super light tones. It's something that I was very impressed with in their pastel set. So now... let's do the greens and then I'll do the blacks last, because... no, the other way around. No, that's right. Okay, sorry, I had to use a lot of brain power there. Sometimes if you put down a color like black or a color that's close to black and then you use a lighter color that's like touching it, sometimes it'll bleed over into the lighter color. And it took a lot of brain power, surprisingly, to figure out the order of operations there. And the shading color I remember struggling with. Yeah, it wasn't exactly the type of shading color I had in mind, but it's the shading color I got. There would be a casted shadow here, wouldn't there? And I was just saying I struggle with those. When do I do art? All I do is complain about it. Typical artist, honestly. After this ink sits a little bit more, I do want to layer this shading color on top some more. But I think for now, I'm done with these light greens. Fully did not test out any of the darker greens. Oh, that's right, I'm remembering why. These do look nice together. Gonna have to do a lot of blending. I'll probably have to use the colorless blender. I usually just blend the markers with other markers, because typically you'll have like a transition shade, but I don't really have one. So let's see how this goes. Luckily I made that YouTube short. Oh, this is the wrong marker. Whoops. Ignore that. It's not perfect, but it'll work. I am worried about all of this feathering, though. Something I also didn't even consider is I could try, like, the tip-to-tip method. Don't look at this. Blur this out. Mosaic this. Honestly, I think that's working out better than the colorless blender was. And this part was also this darker green, and I honestly think I'm just gonna color right over here. Since that lace detail was gonna be black anyway, it'll probably color it up fine. I did not at all plan colors for jewelry, but the hearts will look fine green, right? I'll leave this handy. Not that I can really do much blending with these, but, you know, there will be an attempt if need be. Luckily, there aren't very many places that need shading. So that just leaves the black bits, yeah? And I believe for those I used all warm grays, right? Oh, I forgot the tights. What order did I do this in again? I think I did the brown first and then the warm gray. So there wouldn't be too much of the darker tone. Again, I think, no idea where this light source is. These on top, and then we can start with the black parts for real. Funny thing about that though, I forgot to color this in. Okay, now we can start with the black parts for real, actually. Ah! So close. So close. I also didn't plan a color for these, so I'll just color them in this and then call it a day. Okay, now we are coloring in the black parts actually for real, seriously. I guess first I'll start with these so I don't forget. Okay, Kirby, I'm gonna have to move you one last time, unless I have to move you again later. If there's anything that we've learned from this video, it's that I'm really great at predicting when and how many times I'm going to do something. Listen. I won't talk about it if you won't. It is hitting me in this moment that I wonder how many people watching this video actually know what Nicolette's regular outfit looks like, because I have referenced it a few times. But every time I draw one of my characters, I very rarely draw them in their main outfit. I'm just like, what new cute thing can I design for them this time? Since I do tend to color in the blacks and dark grays of a drawing last, every time I do start to color them in, it's like, ah yes. Finally, it's coming home. The drawing is here. Now it's time for the part that always scares me the most, which is adding in the darker colors. Every time I look at some old art of mine, I feel like there really is not a lot of contrast at all, just because I always got so scared of adding in the darker colors, because once those colors are there, they're there. Confession time, I went silent. It's fine. We'll just... No. I went silent for a bit, and it's not because I was focusing on my art. It's because playing on a loop in my head right now is, take a hint from Victorious. I'm just sitting here being like, that song had no right being that good. So I'm just sitting here, that's playing on my head in a loop. Meanwhile, I'm saying nothing in a YouTube video where it's vital that I say anything. I do also remember there was a very popular Nightcore version of that song, and I never really was big on Nightcore, but that was the first time I heard a Nightcore song where I was like, I think I get it now. That's how powerful that song is. We good? I think we're good. And I guess while I add these touch-ups, I could talk about my final thoughts, right? Oh, I forgot to check the bleed test. Alright, so this one's probably gonna be nothing, because there's... yeah, just this little bit over here. And the parts where I went really heavy, there's a tiny bit. But overall, really good. This happened. Very few instances where this won't happen. That's just how markers work. But I'm very impressed. Overall thoughts. I'm gonna be so real. There's only one real critique that I would give these markers, and that's I wish there was a little bit more color selection. There's some really great light tones and some really great dark tones, but I feel like the amount of mid-tones was fairly limited. These markers do layer and blend very well, and like I mentioned, the colorless blender is one of the best that I've used, and so it is definitely possible to make a full finished illustration with this set exclusively. You just have to work a little bit harder for those mid-tones, but other than that, there honestly isn't anything I would really say about them. They layered and blended really great. The smell wasn't that strong. The colors are nice and vibrant. They go down super smoothly. The brush nibs are great, super great quality. I guess another thing that I could note is that the plastic on the barrel felt a little cheap, which is honestly a pretty good thing, because that means that they're focusing on spending their money on things like nib and ink quality. But also if you're sensitive to like hand injuries, that's maybe something to keep in mind. But overall, I really liked these markers. And I am just super grateful to Arrtx for continuously working with me on my channel. Genuinely, every single piece of art supplies that I've used from them has just been really fun, and they worked really well, which is arguably the most important part of art supplies. They've always been a joy to work with, and their stuff is good, so that's cool. And as of posting this video, you can get a good deal on these markers via Prime Day. Even without the discounted price, I can absolutely recommend these markers, but, you know, if there's a discounted price, who doesn't love that? So I will be sure to leave a link to that in the description box below. I just realized something I forgot to color in. This isn't a mistake, this is, an intentional art technique. Save something until the very end of the drawing when you should have done it earlier. But yes, I'm sure you are all very eager to hear more about this giveaway, so I will be talking about that. But first, a quick shout out to my patrons. I'd like to give a quick thank you and a big shout out to all of my Patreon members, especially my tiers 3 and 4 members whose names you're seeing on screen now. Aside from a shout out at the end of all of my videos, high resolution printables and wallpapers voted on by my patrons each month, works in progress, behind the scenes comic work, and more. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon member, you can find the link in the description box below. Of course, that directly helps the channel and is the best way to support me, but if you aren't able to, thank you for watching the videos that I post here. Without further ado, let's go over the details of the giveaway. First and foremost, this giveaway will be in the United States only. I really wish I could ship internationally, but for reasons no one can be quite sure of, everything is really expensive right now, and since I'm paying for this out of my own pocket, this is all I can afford. I feel really bad about it, but hopefully you understand. The giveaway will be hosted over on Bluesky, and you have to be following me on both here and on YouTube. Find the post promoting this video and reply to it with screenshots of you following me on both platforms. Your post has to be a reply to the video post. Anything else won't add an entry to the giveaway. Lastly, each person may only enter the giveaway once. I want to be sure everyone has a fair chance, so please be considerate to all of the other people entering. The giveaway will be open for 1 week starting as soon as this video goes live, and I'll be announcing the randomly chosen winner on both Bluesky and the community tab here on YouTube, along with how to contact me about getting the markers to you. Thank you again to Arrtx for sending these markers to me and for continuously supporting the channel. And of course, thank you to you, the viewer watching, and good luck to everyone entering the giveaway.